Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year. The season is just a matter of days away and you all know what that means. Wait, what the? We're predicting Serie A. It's time for me to think that I've got 10 out of 10 ball knowledge before proving that it's a solid 4.5 out of 10. And if you're going to enjoy that, then feel free to slap a like on the video. 15k likes and I'll predict the entire FA Vase competition. And subscribe if you're new, but let's get into things. We're working our way up from bottom to top. And in 20th position, I have got the Blades, Sheffield United. Have a fucking word with him then! You lot, yeah, listen, I'm directly addressing Sheffield United fans right now. You are gonna finish on 6 points maximum. The FA, the Premier League, are gonna put you into administration just because you're bad. Now listen, Sheffield United, solid enough championship campaign, but I think the general consensus, the championship as quality level wasn't that great last year. They were the second of an average bunch, you could argue, and had some solid, you know, decent players that would have done a job in the Prem, like Sander Berge and Jai, who have now both left the club. What are you doing? Sheffield United's two best players, in my opinion. Sander Berge is someone that played in the Premier League, sort of like Wonder Kid-esque high potential player, and Njai, who literally represented Senegal at the World Cup. You've sold Njai to Marseille, which, to be honest, if it's a lot of money, you kind of had to do it because he wanted to go. I think Marseille's his boyhood club. But Sander Berge, you're selling to Burnley. You're promotion rivals. I don't understand. Sheffield United could still go crazy in the transfer window, but they're barely linked with anyone. Their squad has a few players that might turn up in the Prem, but I don't have a huge amount of hope. I'm saying bottom of the table and a pretty low point score. In 19th place, we're going with Luton Town. I know, look, this is a truly revolutionary predictions video. I love Luton's ground as much as the next man. But at the end of the day, if your away end has a skybox in it, you can't stay in the Premier League. If VAR at your ground is on-demand television, then we gotta get you out of there. Luton are a very savvy club, right? You don't go from the pits of the National League and non-league football to the Premier League in like 10 years without having a really good transfer strategy and good recruitment. It's impossible. They've spent within their means, they've scouted well, they've picked up bargains. They've done the likes of Ogbene, Anderson, Tahit Chong, Marvelous Nakamba from Villa. Players like Carlton Morris and Lockyer will, you know, be Premier League quality. I don't think they've brought in enough, like, proven Premier League talent or have enough in the first place to just to have the experience more than anything to stay in the Prem. But in 18th place is where we get the first surprise, and it really pains me, really does pain me to say this. I'm going for Nottingham Forest. Yeah, look, listen, lads, I just think second season syndrome's gonna hit them pretty hard. They also they haven't had a very good pre-season. Their signings have been all right, don't get it twisted. I like Anthony Alanga going there. I like a few of the players they've got, like Danilo and Morgan Gibbs-White, who had a great summer with England's under-21s. There were periods where I was really concerned for them. They did pick it up right at the end when they really needed to. I don't know. I'm just not entirely sure. And I think there's going to be a big melee again in terms of relegation. I'm talking like bare knuckle fist fight, UFC, tables, ladders and chairs scenario. I think it'll be close, but I understand if Forest fans disagree. If they don't go down, there are a lot of teams that could replace them. And in 17th, again, this might be a surprise, I'm putting Wolves. If you don't know about Wolves' crisis right now, then get to know it. Their manager is on the verge of leaving. The season hasn't even started yet. This man saw pre-season and said, I don't want the postseason. These lot are in a mess, all right? They've got rid of a lot of players. They've brought in a few. They signed a free agent goalkeeper from Northampton Town. They're going down. Nah, fuck it. I'm remixing it. Wolves, 18. Reload it. Their manager could be out of the door. Matt Doherty said that they still need to sign new players and that basically it's a shit show behind the scenes. They've lost Connor Cody, Joao Moutinho, Diego Costa, Nathan Collins, Gijana Herva, Chiquinho, and Raul Jimenez. And for me, their season genuinely relies on whether Sasha Kalajic, an Austrian striker who was out injured all of last year immediately after signing, can hit the ground running. But if that year-long injury has collapsed him, then it's game over. These lot are in the bin. I'm telling you now, the only saving grace they have is that they do have a good young squad already to build a base on. They've got Neto, Lemina, Joao Gomez, Podence, and Mateus Nunes. Yeah, there's good attacking options, but man, they are light defensively and they've lost a lot of experience and they ain't signed nobody. 16th place, and we're rounding out a promoted squads. We're going with Burnley. Under the leadership of Vincent Kompany, I actually back them to stay in the division. I think they're one side out of the promoted clubs that's actually done something in the transfer window. The temptation to send all 3 promoted clubs back down was quite high, but I like the likes of Zaruri and Benson. Obviously, they've now lost Weghorst to Hoffenheim. Harwood Bellis, on loan from Man City last season, isn't with them anymore. They've got a good goalkeeper in Dogden's brother. Burnley will be hoping that he doesn't take the gloves off, like Dogden does. They just about have enough to stay in the division. I do think they'll be in a relegation battle, though. We're going to rattle through the mid-table just a little bit. So in 15th place, we've got Everton. It says a lot about the quality of the league, I think, this year, when a side that was fully in the relegation battle all of last year could arguably stay exactly the same and avoid a relegation battle this year. They've only lost Yerry Mina and Tom Davies, so that's 50% of Fashion Week gone. Ashley Young in provides some experience, and Arnaud Danjuma is a quality wide man. Amadou Onana is great, but one thing is that Everton were poor at the end of last season, 16th in the form table. So will that poor form continue into the start of the league campaign? At P14, and I'm going with the Cherries, we got Bournemouth, who decided against keeping on Gary O'Neill last year. Only Bournemouth fans seem to be happy with that because of the style of play, but I still think it was a little bit harsh. Either way, Bournemouth were great in April, stinky in May. Their season really will be defined by the spine of their side. Neto in goal, Senesi at centre-back, the likes of Billing at DM, and then the attackers that they have, like Ouattara, Solanke, and of course Tavernier out wide. All solid enough players, but they have lost Jefferson Lerma, so they might want to replace him. In P13, you might be surprised that I'm including Fulham this low. I'm not happy with their transfer window. If they go out and bring in a couple really good players between now and the end of August, then this might change. But for now, it's looking crazy. Raul Jimenez in. I'll be honest, the guy is washed. Carlos Vinicius, I imagine, will lead the line. Not a bad striker, because of course Alexander Mitrovic has proclaimed that he's not going to play another game for the club. Willian also out. He's heading to Saudi Arabia, apparently. And the only other signing they've made is Calvin Bassey, who was decent at Rangers. Fulham supporters, just don't ask Ajax fans what they think about him. Like the answer. In P12, you might be shocked at how high I'm leaving this slot. West Ham. And I'm going to be deadly honest. The reason that West Ham are in P12 is because there are genuinely a lot of teams worse than them. This isn't because they've got better. Declan Rice has obviously left the club. That is going to leave a massive hole, not only in the dressing room, but of course out on the pitch. Though they are close to replacing him with Edson Alvarez, the Mexican from Ajax. The rest of their window stinks, though. They want Maguire and McTominay, and I swear on my life, if I see McTominay and Souček in a midfield together, I'm not watching West Ham once this year. You can't pay me to watch that. Skamaka, of course, has left, but he didn't really ever seem like he wanted to be there. They've probably got worse, but there are just so many poor teams, in my opinion, this season. 11th position, we go with Brentford. The big key thing here, in bold, no Tony. I don't think anyone has missed a man called Ivan this much in human history. Ivan Toney, of course, because of the betting scandal that he was involved in, is banned basically until January. That is a lot of time. He is their best player. Genuinely, right? If a team like Forest or Bournemouth even slightly overachieves this season, there's a top half finish on the cards. Because even Brentford are going to be struggling in comparison. They're probably going to end up playing Mbermo and Wissa up front. But at the end of the day, that general class is still not there. So I think that is going to hurt them. But the rest of the squad is so solid. I love their centre-backs. Nathan Collins in from Wolves. Ben Mee, of course. And Ethan Pinnock is great too. They need a big season from Mikkel Damsgaard, in my opinion. And their new goalkeeper, Flecken. And 10th place, so usually you can bank on these lot finishing 12th every year. But I'm changing it up. Crystal Palace are getting top half. This is the state of play, by the way, in the Premier League now. Roy Hodgson, aged 104, can get a random group of dons from South London into the top half of the Premier League.
You know, let's not take the piss here.
Now, again, they are probably in a worse position than they were last year, but they're just the lesser of the evils. This prediction has the potential to be absolutely horrible. Of course, Palace have lost Wilfred Zaha, their talisman, right? Their main man for like the last 6 6 years. But there's one area that Palace can afford to lose a good player. It's out wide, right? You know, they've got Ebere Eze, who's a baller, and they've got Michael Elise, who's a baller. If they can keep those two fit, sign a backup, they'll be fine. Genuinely, they'll be grand. On top of the likes of a Chet Doucouré, Anderson, Mark Guehi, and they could go far. It just depends whether they slip into the old Roy Hodgson Palace or not. We're into the top half now. As I said, one thing that I am genuinely confident on is Brighton finishing in 9th, which is of course a big downgrade, but I think last year was such a strange season that I don't think Chelsea and Tottenham will finish below them again, though they do have some unreal footballers, yeah, and I think they'll go far in Europe. I genuinely think Brighton, here this year, I think Brighton will get to the final 4 of the Europa League. I'm telling you right now, and Ciso is unreal. That Simon Adingra guy is going to break through this year. You heard it here first. Julio, their new defender, got to the Conference League final with Fiorentina last year. If they sign Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, bro, this is mad. How are Brighton signing these players? On top of that, obviously, they brought in a new goalkeeper because Robert Sanchez has left. Dahoud is in. João Pedro is a great, exciting forward. And James Milner provides experience and versatility. Plus, Evan Ferguson's going to have a mega season this time around. I'm really excited for Brighton. I'm just not entirely sure they'll be able to keep the consistency of last year, which now brings us on to the top 8. We're starting with Tottenham. Ange Postecoglou, I think, is going to actually do a pretty good job. Tottenham, if you're listening, right, Daniel Levy, yeah, get your bald head on the internet right now and listen to this. Because if you keep Harry Kane for one more season to finish in the Conference League again so that he can leave on a free... I'm going to slap you. Just sell him now. Sell him now for 90 mil. Get the bag and go. I know he's going to score like 25 goals this season. Of course he is. He's Harry Kane. But he's not going to take you anywhere. At best, he'll get you top 4, maybe. And even then, you won't earn enough money from being in the Champions League to actually recoup the money that you could have got for him by selling him to Bayern Munich. Oh, they're pissing me off so much. Move on, because you're going to lose him either way. If he signs a new contract, he's the worst athlete in all of sports history. And I mean on an actual human level as well. Kulusevski and Son, you got to do some heavy lifting this season. If they don't, it's a wrap. Harry Kane can't carry them on his own. Vicario's a good goalkeeper, the man that's come in from Italy. I don't know if it'll be better than prime Hugo Lloris, but it'll definitely be better than last season Hugo Lloris. James Maddison is a baller, to be fair. That's actually a really good signing. Bentancour's back. He's fully fit. And they signed that Wolfsburg centre-back, who off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of. They may genuinely fix their defensive problems. I think Postecoglou will do a good job at turning things around in terms of the ethos of the club. If they lose Kane, they're finishing 8th. That's the logic that I'm using here. In 7th position, we are going with the Blues. Yeah, nah, listen, I'll be honest with you, yeah. Part of the reason I'm putting you here is because I'm salty. You guys made me look like fools for thinking you were going to challenge for the title. You're not getting that sympathy from me now. Listen to this list of players they've got rid of, like Deadwood and stuff. N'Golo Kante, not really Deadwood, but fine. Kalidou Koulibaly, stunk up the place in his first season. Edouard Mendy, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Cesar Azpilicueta, Christian Pulisic. But they have also brought in quite a few players as well. Nicholas Jackson, Nkunku, Axel Disasi, every single Portuguese-speaking youth player under the age of 18. But more importantly than all of that, they finally sold Baba Rahman. Yeah, look, listen, you know what it is, yeah, with Chelsea? Whoever's the manager, whoever the players are, the owner's still Todd Boehly. Got to take away, like, 3 league positions based on where you think they're going to finish. It is not an exaggeration when I say they had the most disastrous end to last season. 5 points out of their last 10 games, bro. They've had an alright preseason. They won that preseason tournament. But it was a preseason tournament for mid-table teams. I think that club is in so much turmoil. It was such a transition period for this club that I think they will go genuinely from finishing in 12th to finishing up in 7th. Not to mention Nkunku is out for 4 months to start the year. In 6th position, I'm going with Aston Villa. Fuck the Feds. They've had a good transfer window. I'm on the Villa hype train. Moussa Diaby is a baller and he's already started well in pre-season. Pau Torres, Spanish international, great signing at centre-back and has worked with Unai Emery before. In midfield, they've got Douglas Luiz, Boubacar Kamara, underrated ballers, and Yuri Tielemans on a free from Leicester. He stunk last year, but All of that Leicester squad stunk. Ollie Watkins, so underrated. What a season he had last year. Jacob Ramsey, great midfielder slash winger. And again, with those additions, they're looking sick. Emi Buendia is going to have a big season this year. And under Unai Emery, collectively, I'm here for the movement. On to the top 5. Who's going to just about miss out on a Champions League? I am going to say Newcastle. I think they've actually had a pretty good transfer window again. This is another team they only hit no misses in the transfer window right now. Sandro Tonali in that midfield with Bruno Guimaraes. I'm going to have a orgasm or aneurysm or both. Harvey Barnes, are you crazy? They've signed Tino Livramento. I didn't even know that was happening. Again, strengthening the best defense in the league already from last year. I think they are going to be very, very solid, but I just still think there's a couple of holes in the squad. Someone like Jacob Murphy. If you're looking at consistency, I just don't know if he is a winger that's going to get you Champions League every single year. And I guess maybe Harvey Barnes will replace him. Either way, though, I think they're going to have a great season, and Eddie Howe is a great manager. We're on to the top 4, and we start with Liverpool. Yes, you know, I'm looking at our midfield. We've sold everyone, bro. Oxley, Chamberlain, out of there. Keita, out of there. Henderson, out of there. There's no rainbow laces where he's going, bro. Fabinho's bald head has aerodynamically left the building. James Milner probably ran from Liverpool to Brighton for his medical. There's no more centre mids left. We have, of course, signed Alexis McAllister. I didn't even talk about him, actually, for the Brighton segment. But yeah, McAllister, great. I love him at centre mid. He was so good during the World Cup. As will Dominic Szoboszlai. He's that sort of intense, good dribbler, dynamic central midfielder that we need. Is also a bit creative. Curtis Jones ended the season really well last year. Would I be happy with him starting every single game? Probably not. Harvey Elliott, good young talent. All you've got after that is Stefan Bajcetic, who is a really good defensive midfielder, but there needs to be someone else. We can't have just one DM. If we sign Romeo Lavia, I actually won't be that concerned, because we'll have all the names that I've mentioned, plus Thiago Alcantara, even though he only has one leg. I genuinely feel like that's enough options. I don't think our centre mid situation is as bad as people are painting out. It's just very young, and we'll need a bit of time to get used to each other. Hence why I'm saying 4 rather than any higher. Other than that, Konate and Van Dijk, if they can just stay fit, unreal centre-back partnership. You've got Trent in his new role, loving life, ended the season so well. As I said, Bajcetic, unsung hero. Luis Diaz is going to have a sick season if he can stay fit, unlike last year. In 3rd place, sorry, I rambled about Liverpool a lot there. We're going with Manchester United. I just don't think there's any other teams right now, barring Liverpool, if we can gel really quickly, that can take the fight to Man City at the moment. So they need to score more goals this season. Defensively, fine. Don't have a problem. They just needed a number 9 for a while. Rasmus Højlund for 70 mil? I don't know, bro. I think they just Googled a guy who sounds like Haaland and went for the best option. He's going to be a good striker when he hits his potential, but he ain't banging 25 goals for United next season. Either way, you still got Rashford, you still got Bruno Fernandes. There are other signings as well. Mason Mount, I don't mind. Onana is a bit mistake happy, but he's way better at playing out from the back than David De Gea was. But more crucially than that, they've lost Phil Jones. And that leaves us with the top 2. Who do I think is going to miss out on the Premier League title? The whole video was built up to this very moment. I'm going with Arsenal. You guys, look, listen, I'm not pushing the boat out. You know, I did that with the relegation battle. They might have just won the Community Shield. They might have just beaten Manchester City, but Man City always lose the Community Shield, and then they go and win the Premier League. So definitely improved. For me, Timber is sensational. I love him. Declan Rice in midfield. Again, an improvement. I know people think he's a bit overrated. Kai Havertz, not as sure if I'm being real, just because I don't see him as a centre mid alongside Odegaard and Rice, and he wasn't good as a striker last year for Chelsea at all. But wide areas, Saka and Martinelli are glorious. Odegaard looks as if he stepped up again this year, but not enough to win the league, and that's where we're going. I mean, they just do it with Man City. Like, you're not surprised. The only concern I have for Man City is they've lost a couple key players in Gundogan. Big hole left there. In terms of winning important games, Gundogan just always seemed to pop up and score important goals, whether it be to win the Prem, to win the FA Cup, even to win the Champions League. Like, the guy was just there. He will get a statue. Kovacic is in. They've also lost Riyad Mahrez to Saudi Arabia. They've got a lot of options up top, like Alvarez, obviously Haaland as well. It's hard to look beyond Man City when Haaland's in the side and De Bruyne. So I don't know. That's the one question mark with Man City. There is a question mark. It's not a done deal. Come back back to me the year after this coming one, if Arsenal carry on their trajectory, they're winning the league. But those are my predictions then, from Sheffield United all the way up to Manchester City. That is how I think the Premier League table is going to look for the 23-24 campaign. Whether I am right or wrong, we will discover that come the end of the season. But this is a Premier League year that I am genuinely so excited for, and I'm sure you guys are as well. There's going to be loads more content, obviously, on the Premier League and football as a whole as this year goes on. If you love football this week, if you love this video, then feel free to like and, of course, subscribe for all that content. I'm going to have shorts hopefully coming out pretty much every single day, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comment section below. What do you agree with and what do you disagree with from this video? As I said, if you enjoyed, like and subscribe. You can also follow me on social media. It is at the official FNG on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.